The observation deck of the Galactic Council's orbital station hummed with tension. Celine Ward stood at its center, her hands raised in a gesture of peace that fooled no one. Around her, a semicircle of armed Kalorian guards kept their plasma rifles trained on her chest, their scaled faces betraying nothing but professional wariness. She was human. That alone made her dangerous. "The weapon, Ward," Commander Thexral growled, his translator crackling with barely suppressed aggression. "Surrender it, or we will take it by force." Celine's lips curved into a tired smile. "I've told you 12 times already. I don't have a weapon. Scans detected an energy signature in your quarters, a device capable of destabilizing this entire station." Thexral's claws flexed around his rifle. "Do not insult our intelligence." What they didn't understand, what they couldn't understand, was that the energy signature came from her jury-rigged life support modification. Her species required specific atmospheric conditions that the Council's universal systems failed to provide. But explaining that would require admitting weakness, and in the Galactic Council's eyes, humans had already shown too much of that. Humanity's admission to the Council had been provisional, probationary, and deeply resented. Earth had nothing to offer but its stubbornness and a species too foolish to recognize when they were outmatched. Every gesture, every word, from a human, was viewed through a lens of suspicion. "Send in the cub," a voice crackled over Thexral's communicator. The commander's expression soured, but he obeyed. The guards parted, and through the gap came a small figure that made Celine's breath catch. Ravik was barely 4 feet tall, his juvenile scales still soft and mottled with adolescent patterns. He couldn't have been more than 7 cycles old, a child by any species standard. His eyes, however, held an ancient weariness that no child should possess. "Ravik?" Celine breathed, recognizing him from the station's education wing. She'd helped him with human literature last week. Of all things, he'd been fascinated by the concept of fairy tales. The cub walked forward on unsteady legs, clutching a small scanning device. His assignment was clear. Approach the dangerous human. Verify the weapon's location. And retreat. Simple. Safe. But Ravvik's hands were shaking. "It's okay," Celine said softly, lowering herself to one knee despite the rifles tracking her every movement. "You're doing great, Ravik." The cub's scanner beeped erratically as he approached. His training told him to maintain distance, to complete the scan and withdraw. But something in Celine's eyes, that peculiar human quality that the Council found so unsettling, broke through his conditioning. Humans looked at you like you mattered. Like you weren't just another asset in a galactic empire that valued species by their resource output and military contribution. They saw people. Ravvik's scanner clattered to the floor. "I'm sorry," he whispered in his native tongue, forgetting that Celine's translator would catch every word. "I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And then he did something that would be replayed in council chambers for years to come. Something that would fundamentally shift the galaxy's understanding of why humans were truly dangerous. He hugged her, his small arms wrapped around Celine's shoulders as his body shook with suppressed sobs. The guards tensed, fingers tightening on triggers, but Thexral raised a hand to hold their fire. Even he could recognize a child's terror when he saw it. "I'm too afraid to leave you alone," Ravik whispered against her shoulder, his voice breaking. "They'll hurt you when I go. They always hurt the ones who are different. And you've been nothing but kind." Celine's arms came up automatically, cradling the frightened child. Over his shoulder, she met Thexral's gaze. The commander's expression had shifted from aggression to something far more complicated. "Your orders," Celine said quietly, "were to send a child to potentially die for you. He was never in danger. You're a non-combatant scientist." "I'm human," Celine interrupted, her voice harder now. "Which means you've already decided I'm guilty. You scanned my quarters without a warrant. You've held me at gunpoint for 3 hours. And when you needed someone expendable to get close to the dangerous human, you chose a child." Thexral's scales rippled with discomfort. "The Council's protocols. Your protocols are terrified," Celine said, standing slowly while still holding Ravik. The guards' rifles tracked her movement, but she ignored them. Not of what I have, but of what I represent. Humanity doesn't conquer. We don't have the weapons or the numbers, but we do something your empire has forgotten how to do. She looked down at Ravik, who had buried his face against her shoulder. We care. Recklessly. Inconveniently. We form bonds with species we've just met. We cry over fictional characters and stories. We risk everything for people we barely know, because we can't help but see ourselves in their struggles. Her gaze returned to Thexral. Your empire is built on hierarchy and efficiency. Ours barely functions because we keep stopping to help. That is weakness, Thexral said, but his conviction wavered. Is it? Selene asked. This child was supposed to scan me and leave. Instead, he's clinging to me because in 1 week, I showed him more genuine care than your system has in his entire life. You sent him here to test me, Commander. But what he really tested was you. The observation deck fell silent, save for the hum of the station's drives. Ravvik's grip on Selene tightened. Finally, Thexral lowered his rifle. Stand down, he ordered. His guards hesitated before complying. He approached slowly, stopping a respectful distance away. Life support modification. Humans need different atmospheric ratios. I can show you the blueprints. Thexral's translator crackled with what might have been a sigh. That won't be necessary. He paused, studying the human holding the Kalorian child. The Council fears you because you're unpredictable. Your species acts on emotion. Our species acts on empathy, Selene corrected gently. There's a difference. The commander nodded slowly, a gesture he'd learned from humans. Perhaps that is precisely what makes you dangerous. And perhaps that is what we need. Ravik finally pulled back, his eyes still wet but calmer now. Can I stay with you? He asked Selene. Just for a while? Selene looked to Thexral, who made a permissive gesture. As long as you need. She promised the cub. As the guards filed out and tensions dissolved, no one mentioned that the entire incident had been broadcast to the council chambers. No one spoke of the emergency session called immediately after, or the heated debates about humanity's role in the galaxy, but in the cycles to come, when the council faced its greatest crisis, they would remember the human who was held at gunpoint and responded with compassion. They would remember the child too afraid to leave her alone, and the empire too rigid to understand why. And they would finally understand what made humans truly dangerous. Their unshakable conviction that everyone deserved kindness, even when the galaxy itself disagreed.